Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is Asosa once again, Truth Over Lies Daily. There you go, the pause. So, good morning. Going back into the vault for a question. I probably got a couple, maybe a year and a half or so back. I never had a chance to post. So, definitely appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully everyone is having a great morning. So I was a part of BSAC, Biblically Sound Artist Coalition, and I got this question probably closer to that back then. So this question says, what is your understanding about using hip hop as a style or genre of music without representing the subculture that has evolved around it, given its pagan roots? How do you make it clear to listeners that BSAC, or AKA Biblically Sound Artist Coalition artists, rap but have nothing to do with hip hop culture? So this is a question that kind of goes into difference between hip hop and rap, which is a discussion that I used to get into. I really don't. I'm really not into the whole hip hop versus rap debate, because to me it's really about ministry versus industry. Because whether you call it rap or hip hop, it's the same. People have the same struggles with maturity. People have the same struggles with idolatry. People have the same struggles with false doctrine, whether you call it Christian rap or Christian hip hop. So when I answered this question, I kind of switched it over to ministry. What is ministry? What does it look like? Do we get to make up our own forms of ministry, or do we do the forms of ministry that are in the Bible? So that's kind of why I answered this question the way I answered it. And I said my main recommendations for ministers is to, number one, leave the past behind. It's okay to have a past, but if you're constantly going back to your past, then you'll submit to the iniquities of your past, right? We all have a past. We all had stuff that we used to listen to, but if we are constantly going back to that, then we're never really delivered. And that's the problem I see with a lot of people that are stuck in, their musical culture. Um, Number two, avoid ungodly samples or copying from popular styles. Okay, it's okay if you want to make music, that's great. Start with the music that's in your heart. But guess what? You also need to be creative and original. You need to move further beyond the music of your past. If you keep following the same artists in your past and you keep following the same radio and the same flow of sin that you used to follow, you're not really moving forward. And so creativity and originality are paramount when it comes to um, doing ministry in a godly way. You can no longer follow after the radio. You can no longer copy the sounds of the world if you are doing things in a godly fashion. So, the beauty of holiness is how we create art in the kingdom. We create art not for the industry, but we create art for our families. We create art for our congregations, and that's pretty much how we create the beauty of holiness. Number three, follow ministry, not industry. As ministers, our path of maturity should look like family, congregational service, preaching, pastoring, evangelizing, worshiping. Like I said, there's certain ways to do ministry in the Bible: serving your family, serving your congregation, preaching the gospel, building up the tabernacle of David with singers and musicians. So if you are in an entertainment industry that has nothing to do with the tabernacle of David, has nothing to do with, um, you know, uh, with all the dreams that we have um, as entertainers, these things have nothing to do with true ministry. So we have to give up the dreams of music industry fame. Being out, you see yourself on a stage, you see yourself with thousands of people watching you, lifting up their hands, and you're getting paid from it. That's the dream that you have as an entertainer. But when you switch over to ministry, your dream has to be something different. And the problem is when people follow hip hop or they follow whatever entertainment culture they love, their dream doesn't change. It just switches to a Christian version of it. And that's a problem because it affects the maturity of a man. It affects the maturity of a woman. Because a lot of people fall back into sin. Their families are ineffective. Their congregations are perverted and corrupted because the core dream, they never gave up the core dream, the entertainment dream, the American dream, um, and they just put Jesus on their entertainment idolatry dreams. And so um, that makes people sell out their responsibilities to mature in favor of creating an industry for themselves. So my fourth advice is to use your gifts and talents to be a servant, not a star, a prophet, not a performer, and a doer, not an actor. And I have a teaching I did a few months back on how to prophesy for the Yahuwah the Most High. And so the entertainment, our artistry or musical gift is all a form of the prophetic gifting. But if you don't know what a prophet is and how a prophet is supposed to work, you take that gift and you use it to become an entertainer or a rapper or a singer or an artist or an actor, which is all forms of hypocrisy because it's not based in truth. And so we have to make sure that we use our gifts to be servants instead of stars, prophets instead of performers, and the doers, not actors. And it's hard to hear, but that's just the real. I've experienced it. I went through it all. There's no reason for me to hide the truth because it's horrible what entertainment and false doctrine does to destroy families and hurt innocent children. There's a lot of people that are in pain in divorce and remarriage, and their children, they lose their family, they lose their mother, they lose their father. And people don't know it's because of the connection we've made with these idols of entertainment. That even the church is affected by the seduction, by the spiritual adultery, and by the spiritual hypocrisy that comes when we follow the entertainment industry instead of following the kingdom of God. And then, not to mention what it does to congregations. When you have congregations that are full of apostasy and due to the entertainment industry, these things affect congregations. So if you focus on ministry, you won't fall backwards into the entertainment dream or the American dream or the rock star dream that needs to die. And we need to be comfortable with being servants, being ministers, being pastors, being preachers, being shepherds, and give up the dream of being independently wealthy based on vanity and not having to work, because that's actually a form of youthful lust. Um, and as far as servanthood is a beautiful thing. I know when I started DJing, it was strictly to serve. People are playing ungodly music at Christian events, and I'm like, well, I want to serve believers with godly music, you know. And in the process of doing that, I learned a lot about the difference between the mentality of a servant and the mentality of a performer. So music is not evil. Lyrics are not evil. Singing is not evil. Being a musician is not evil. But it's the heart thing. You have to really be a servant and you have to serve in the context that the Lord has provided us, not searching for another context to do the ministry that God has called you to. There's a couple of scriptures that I put at the end. Flee youthful lusts. When I was a child, I spake as a child, and all labor there is profit. But talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. And I also put a couple of links to some blogs that I've written about these topics in the past. So I hope everyone enjoys this. And I know it's hard to hear, but every generation has to grow up eventually. And we have to put our families first, put our congregations first, and just mature past those dreams of entertainment. So God bless everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to youtube.com/ and look up New City Assembly. Subscribe. subscribe to soulspression.com, and then facebook.com/New City Assembly. And I will talk to you soon.